So each of you talk about how social media and how entering into conversations and how your values will help lead to the solutions to this. I'm still struggling to make that leap with you as to how we'll get beyond the conversation to the actual solutions. We have a world in a world of hurt right now. Let me just give you another set of facts. There are 783 million people in the world who still don't have safe drinking water. 783 million people don't have something clean to drink. I do. I have a bottled water down here. That's down from 884 million last year and 900 million the year before. So you guys, your generation, you are coming up with solutions. Our water tables are falling around the world. Additional water will be needed for the 2 billion people that we're adding to the world. And in 38 years, global water withdrawals will have tripled. Give me a solution beyond a social media solution or a value-based solution to how are we going to get folks something to drink, something clean to drink, keep their children alive, allow their elders to stay healthy.
Well, one of the biggest challenges around water security issues right now is the privatization of water. There are companies such as Nestle and other corporations that are trying to privatize water sources and then sell back that water to local communities, and usually very impoverished communities who can't afford it to begin with. I think, as we found in all these topics, we can't escape the politics of it. And we need to broaden our scope or how far back in the chain we're looking about what's causing these issues. So even though topics such as privatization and regulation make us feel uncomfortable in a way, there are ideologies behind that. That is, having studied water security issues from an international health perspective, privatization, we need to have very honest conversations about how we see water as a good. Is it a regular commodity like a book or a chair that we can sell? Or because it's something essential to human survival, should it be protected under the commons? We need to have those conversations.
Any other thoughts?
For me, I just feel like, going back to communication, I see communication as a way to bridge barriers between distance. So, geographically, we're all closer together. So communication has enabled us to communicate with people from afar. And I feel like travel is also improving. We can travel at a relatively comfortable speed and pace. And so I feel like if we continue to build strong global networks and really look into, communicating with people from all over the world and starting to hear stories about how certain people in certain areas are truly affected, building friendships with people outside of our own borders, so that, instead of just donating to a charity or to a good cause, we can actually help a friend, fly out and, help a friend access clean water and start to build truly remarkable networks that allow us not only to build friendships, and to innovate, but also just to make sure that we're all doing good. Because I feel like, for me, when I go online, I feel so much more connected to the rest of the world than I think I would have felt if I grew up, say, 50 years ago. So I feel like we need to continue to leverage transportation and communication. Whether that's studying abroad, make students study abroad for 70% of their undergraduate degree or something, really get people to start to build global networks. So, and foster, good living situations. We all hear about people who travel to Europe, on like a relatively low amount of money and, stay out there for 5 months. Encourage people to start to build those networks where they're just traveling, living, and seeing the world and making friendships and then helping one another out in the process.
To add to the idea of building relationships and friendships, I think that an idea that was kind of touched on earlier is the importance of collaboration and stepping outside of our disciplines and our specialties to work with people from other disciplines and other specialties when tackling a problem like clean water. Engineers, they can design the water treatment, water collection systems, but they need to collaborate with the policymakers to actually see those designs implemented in countries.
And I think our generation of students is much more of social entrepreneurs than previous generations of students have been. There are a lot more students, even Rebecca earlier today was mentioning how there's a lot of students that want to start their own NGOs, that want to do humanitarian work on their own for their own passion. I think that's a huge strength of this generation of students is there's a lot of compassion, there's a lot of commitment to social justice. The number of, for example, OSU students that are committed to community and civic engagement activities, I think is significant. Oregon State just became a partner with Clinton Global Initiative, where you all can apply for small loans to start something, to start an initiative that will cause social change to fix these social problems. And I think more programs like the Clinton Global Initiative and more value from specifically higher education institutions for students to create their own change, to become social entrepreneurs, so that we're not all just, after we graduate, hopefully getting a job at a large corporation like our parents and grandparents did, but so that we can start something on our own, out of our own passions and values, and make that change.
Though, one thing to add to that, and kind of just thinking about water more generally too, we also need to be very explicit about how we think of the problem. Water in particular, so who here has had a waterborne illness lately? No one. Why? Because we actually don't have to do anything. We turn our faucet on and clean water is accessible. Whereas when we're looking at water treatment systems in low and middle income nations, because again, a lot of international aid was built on an ideology that we didn't want to fund government-sponsored infrastructure projects. We wanted to fund kind of smaller private endeavors. What happened is that we're now focusing on household-level water interventions. So we go door to door and say, here's your water treatment filter. Please, every time you drink water, use this filter. They've never seen one before. They don't know what we're talking about. So in some ways, again, that ideology, that those political barriers that we have, this is a great example of we are funding solutions tied to our value system. And that has major implications. Because we don't want to support government-level infrastructure, funds have been channeled to focus on individual-level interventions, which have been enormously difficult to take off. Again, we have the luxury of not having to have that responsibility every time we use water, to choose whether to use a filter, to know whether that filter will actually work, and so on and so forth. So I do think we need to expand our scope of possible solutions.
Whenever this topic comes up, and thank you, Hannah, for mentioning, our generation is amazing with the private, innovative ideas that we have. So we're creating social media, but we're also creating amazing nonprofits that go out and give people water. But there's this disconnection, and especially with the way that we see the world, between that and our government. So everything that we've known about our government is that it's a broken system. We don't want to be involved in it because they don't get things done. And I think that's something that we're really missing. So we can go door to door, and we can give them their filters, but we do need that policy. And Solon pointed out, the political things are frustrating, but we need the people that are going to be making innovative nonprofits, and instead take those people and send them to our government, elect them as our officials, instead of the same people who are making our broken system, so they can create the things that they have in their heads, that we have in our heads as a new generation with new ideas.